इस समय अश्विनी वैष्णव संबोधित कर रहे हैं।
ECMS, Electronics Component Manufacturing Scheme, the applications closed on 30th September. We have received applications worth 1,15,351 crore. It's a historic number, it's a record number. Unprecedented investment applications have come in the Electronics Component Manufacturing Scheme. ये स्कीम जिसमें 1,15,351 करोड़ रुपए का इन्वेस्टमेंट की एप्लीकेशंस आई है इलेक्ट्रॉनिक्स कंपोनेंट मैन्युफैक्चरिंग में, ये दर्शाता है, ये क्लियरली शो करता है कि माननीय प्रधानमंत्री श्री नरेंद्र मोदी जी का जो इलेक्ट्रॉनिक्स मैन्युफैक्चरिंग पर फोकस है और जो इस पिछले 11 वर्षों में जो ट्रस्ट डेवलप हुआ है दुनिया भर का भारत पर, ये ट्रस्ट आज इन्वेस्टमेंट में, प्रोडक्शन में और एम्प्लॉयमेंट में परिणत हो रहा है. इट्स रिजल्टिंग इनटू इन्वेस्टमेंट, एम्प्लॉयमेंट एंड एक्स्ट्रा प्रोडक्शन. Against a target which was again a very ambitious target we had taken of 59,350 crore rupees investment, we have received applications for 1,15,351 crore. Against a production target of 4,56,500 crore, 4.5 lakh crore, we have received production estimates more than 10 lakh crore, 10,34,000 crore. So that is more than double what we had targeted. Employment, we had targeted 91,600 persons. Here the employment which is expected is 1.5 times at 1,41,000 persons employment. So this is very significant, and I would like the department to make a detailed presentation on the entire application process and what we have received so far, which are the sectors, which are the components which have received maximum support.
Currently in the electronics ecosystem, we have two elements which we are pushing. One is what are called the active components, semiconductors. As you are aware, Semicon 1.0 is virtually near completion, and Semicon 2.0, the formulation is at an advanced stage. On the non-semiconductor side, which we call the passive side, we've had a number of programs. There was first the PLI for large-scale electronic manufacture, which is for mobile, as it was called, the mobile PLI, which is amongst the 14 PLI schemes of the Government of India, the most successful so far. And then there was the PLI scheme for IT hardware, followed by the ECMS scheme, which has just been notified on 8th of April 2025, and the date for applications was open till 30th of September, and we have an update for you, as the Minister just pointed out. Now, the tenure of the scheme is 6 years. The total amount of incentive which is to be disbursed is 22,919 crore. And the basic idea here is to deepen the value chain in India and ensure that overall the domestic value-added component is substantially increased, at least doubled from the present years. That is the basic objective of the scheme, and to ensure integration with the global value chains, which is the nature of production in the case of electronics. And the target was that an investment goal of 59,350 crore would be reached. That's roughly $7 billion. The total production targeted was 4,56,500 crore, which is of various kinds of components, and an employment generation of 91,600 crore. Against this kinds of components and an employment generation of 91,600 crore. Against this, and this is split, the subcomponents, there were a number of subcomponents into which this was broken up. There are module sub-assemblies, specifically display and camera, because these are amongst the highest value-added items in any electronics goods. Then there are non-assembly passive components, electromechanicals, multi-layer PCB, so different items of this nature. And certain bare components which are of higher tech, including HDI and flexible PCBs and so on, so which require higher technology interventions. Plus there are certain areas where a number of MSMEs and others would also manufacture basic subcomponents. Parts and components of the main components would be manufactured by many of them, and in addition for capital goods manufacture, because capital goods manufacture in the country today, a lot of the capital goods actually get imported, and one of the reasons why we do not have extensive capital good manufacture is because the ecosystem needs to be large enough, and given that the electronics industry is growing rapidly, manufacturing capital goods for electronics industry would become a viable proposition in India. So that is the basis on which these have been selected, and this has been picked up. In addition, for the telecom industry as well, optical transceivers were one specific component, which are other than the general components. There are others are general components of electronics which can be used in a variety of electronics goods, whether it is IT hardware, whether it is mobile phones, whether it is auto electronics, whether it is medical electronics. They can be used in a range of applications. Now, against the target of, for target segment A, B, C, and E, the window closed on 30th September, we have one target segment D, which covers parts and components, basic manufacture and capital goods, which continues to be open. But even against what is closed right now, the investment proposals have far exceeded what we had originally anticipated. So against 59,350 crore, as the minister pointed out, 1,15,351 crore, more than 2 times is the amount that has been committed for investment. Likewise, the production goal is 4,56,500 crore, and against that we have almost 10,35,000 crore. Employment target against 91,600 crore, it is 1,41,000, almost 1.5 times that. And the incentive outgo, which is expected, is about 1.8 times. Against 22,805 crore, it is 41,468 crore. I think what we need to keep in mind here also is that the overall incentive outgo of 29, there's a little bit of money in reserve, which is meant for the segment D. Going further, the total number of applications we've received are 249 across various categories, and which total to this total amount of investment. And we've already commenced the scrutiny of the eligible applicants based on when they were received, and we will fast track the approval process. Now, here it is primarily a first come first serve basis on which this will move, in the sense that those who applied early and those whose proposals are ready quickly, we will push them through quickly so that the production can commence at the earliest. The key features of this, as you can see, is unprecedented level of industry participation. Highest level of single investment by a single company is approximately about 22,000 crore. And then for the first time we see investment in certain items which were not previously made in India, which is SMD passives, laminates, flexible PCBs, anode material, capital equipment. These are investments which haven't come into India thus far. Many of the others would be scale-up of investments, and these are first-time investments. And as the minister pointed out, this is a testament to the growing global confidence in India's electronic manufacturing system, policy stability, and the comparative advantage that we provide. Again, one of the reasons why industry has been so forthcoming is because we have had extensive stakeholder consultations right from inception, and we built the confidence that there would be policy stability in this area, and we would be able to work with industry to enable this. And this will enable, hopefully, for the country to actually achieve the Honorable Prime Minister's goal of which he has set for the ministry, that we should achieve electronics domestic manufacture of at least $500 billion US. That's roughly about 40 lakh crore worth of manufacture by 2030-31. So that is what we are pushing to do. This is broadly the contours of the scheme.
Thank you, sir. One more thing I would like to add here is, if you recall, when we launched the scheme, one of the requests we had made to the industry was that please invest in your design capabilities. And I'm very happy to share with you that practically every industry participant agreed with that call, and so many of them have started setting up design teams or tying up with other design teams, because that is what is going to give the real competitive advantage to the country and to the industry in India. And this industry has realized, they are setting up their design teams or they are tying up with design teams. Practically every second, third day I get feedback from the industry that they have set up 3 people, somebody has set up 50 people team, somebody has set up, there are teams, there are people who have tied up with 1,000 people design teams. So that kind of clarity in increasing the competitive advantage of India is there in the industry. They are making efforts, and government and industry are both working towards the same objective. Can we now take questions? We'll start from this side. Yeah, one by one.
Sir, Rishabh with NTV Profit. Sir, the highest ever investment if you could reveal what company that is, and also the segment that has not the application window that is still open. A little comment on that as to what that will contribute to the entire scheme.
Excellent question. The segment which is still open is basically capital equipment. As you are aware, when we are growing in electronics manufacturing, it's very important that the entire capital equipment ecosystem also gets developed in our country. I'm very happy to share with you that in Coimbatore, in Pune, in Bangalore, in Rajkot, in Baroda, a huge ecosystem is gathering momentum for manufacturing and designing capital equipment. Today you go to any of the electronics manufacturing plant, you will find a reasonable number of equipment which are now designed and made in India. We would like that to further strengthen, further deepen, and there again the design capabilities must improve. So that is why the special item of having manufacturing electronics components, electronics capital equipment was kept as a target segment. The first part of your question, which are the companies, I would not like to name the companies at this point of time, because the professional team which is evaluating the applications, they are evaluating. So once they evaluate and recommend a name, then only we would like to share it with you. Otherwise it has its implications on the stock market, it has implications on their evaluation process. So as we have maintained in the past, whether in Semicon and all, whenever you would ask any question about which are the companies, we would always say that let the professionals evaluation team, let them evaluate, and then only we will share the names.
Hi sir, a couple of questions. I understand that you don't want to mention the name of the companies, but do you see a clear connection between the companies which have benefited from the PLI scheme so far? Do you see some of their suppliers also showing interest in this? Like, do you see a connection that's getting built up there because that industry already exists and these people might want to sort of supplant that? Do you see that connection? And second,
first question first. So yes, that is one of the factors. Second is because that is what gives confidence. If you have a offtake industry, if you have somebody who's going to buy your components, then obviously it becomes a very important risk mitigation factor. But we have also seen in this application process that many new players and especially many MSME players have come in large numbers. I would say about 60% of the applications are from MSME players, and that is what is very heartening, because when the smaller players, they get confidence about a program, about a policy, that's a big game changer for the entire economy. Second question.
Sir, some of the people who may have applied much before have these sort of, because I think there is a concept of sending out acknowledgement letters, etc. Has that process happened for some of these applicants?
It's all online, no?
It's an online process, so acknowledgement we will say, the approval will take.
Yeah. It's a totally online process where the entire process is basically very transparent,
right,
as you have seen in all other schemes.
So I'm saying, have you sent out some sort of an acknowledgement?
Anybody who uploads their application, obviously they get an acknowledgement.
That's an automatic process.
Yeah, that's an automatic process. We don't have to get into that. There is no manual intervention in that. What's the reason of that question?
Generally.
Hello, sir. Jaspreet from Financial Express. Sir, I want to understand the government's impetus towards MSMEs in particular, predominantly because the large establishments, the names of which we're not disclosing as of yet, because they already have the kind of support and the capital that's required. So, would the application for MSMEs have some sort of preference maybe over others, or the vetting process would be similar?
The vetting process is very agnostic to the applicant size. It's something basically whichever application is most complete will be taken up immediately, and as we have said, as Secretary Maiti has said, we are already fast tracking the application process, evaluation process, and as in the past other programs, very transparently it's being done by the team of professionals. The point about MSME, if you look at the entire electronics industry globally, whichever country you take the name, there would always be large finished product manufacturers. Then there would be some medium or large intermediate manufacturers. Then there would be a very large MSME manufacturers. That is the way the entire industry is structured, like a pyramid. And very happy to share with you that once this ecosystem starts taking shape in a country, this shows that the entire industry has now got its feet well established in a country. Had it been only the finished product manufacturers, they can move, right? It's always possible. But getting the entire module and the component manufacturers in the system shows that the entire industry is now firmly establishing in a country. I also want to share one more important data point with you, that for every component which gets manufactured, there is a multiplier impact in the connected sectors. For example, the material providers. For example, the logistics suppliers. For example, the people who are providing other basic facility management services. For example, the catering units which are going to serve the factories. So there is a multiplier impact because of those investments. That also will give significant more employment compared to the direct employment which is going to get generated here. Yeah.